Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Well, welcome to my 53rd episode. This has been a year and one episode. This was originally, I shot this on this weekend on a trip I was on. The audio didn't work out, so I'm doing it today. Apologize to all my listeners out there for being a couple days late. I was up in South Georgia at a farm called Southwind Plantation. It was an epic trip. We didn't have good Wi-Fi or anything, so I couldn't reach back out and get to everybody. But I did get all my emails this past week. I've gotten a number of book requests. So, again, if you want a free copy of the book, just email me at www.deanakers.com, and I'll get you a copy of that book in the mail to you. That's the book, Self-Talk, Think Like a Child. It'll be up on Amazon here in the next couple weeks. Second book published, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's a great book on really developing. I say it's a great book, I wrote it, but it's a book of things I've learned in my career about self-talk and how it impedes your opportunities on a go-forward basis. But today I wanted to share some leadership tips that I picked up from Bob Giles, one of the guys on the trip with us. Super successful guy out of Lafayette, Louisiana, has car dealerships, and so we started talking about what makes his business successful. And when I asked him, is it product, is it location, or what? And he says, Dean, what makes my business successful is people. Now, you can only imagine, those of you that have listened to some of the episodes, to know that that was like music to my ears. It was like, Bob, I'm all in, buddy. Got it. So he started telling me, he parted two really cool stories or thoughts that I think would help each of you today, that you may want to take back to your business or just use in your personal life. The first one is how he teaches his people through the adage of the tree in the road scenarios. And from a leader standpoint, when he meets with his people and they have problems or can't get something done, he asks them this question: if you were on your way home tonight and there was a tree in the road, would you just sit there for the rest of the night? And they universally answer back, no, I'd figure another way. I'd figure another way to get it done or get around it or call somebody or whatever. And he said, well, that's the way it is in life too. These things that when you have things due or things you need to get done and you go, well, I couldn't get it done because, what you're doing is you're allowing the tree in the road to stop you. And so what's really cool about that from my perspective and how it just resonated with me is when you're building an organization, you really want to empower your people and really teach them how to move the ball forward and avoid or get around the tree in the road, whatever it might be. So I thought that was especially helpful for me this weekend, and I wanted to impart it to you. The other thing that was very cool was how we recognize our people. And I run into companies all the time and they have a trip, like you win a trip to Hawaii or whatever, the top people get this and everything, and when you win, you go. Well, he shared something very interesting. He said the problem with those great incentive gifts is when they get it, they think they earned it. So there's no real appreciation, or not the appreciation that you really want out of something that big. He says what he's done is to create an incentive, or call it the purpose every day for people performing, is finding people doing things right and doing either different types of things. He may take them to lunch and stuff, but two stories he shared with me were especially cool. His accounting team had just done a marvelous job and had done a great job of putting in some systems or whatever the reason was. And so he took them out to lunch. And when they opened their menus just for lunch, in the menu was a certificate for them and their spouses to take a trip, all expenses paid, to a particular destination he had outlined for it. And they were blown away. The appreciation that he showed for what they had done was of bigger value than it said, if you do this, I'll give you this trip. And so I sat back and I started thinking about all the years that I've written my handwritten notes to people and sent them to their house, team members, some of the great results from that, and some of the previous shows I've shared those, is how a thank you versus an incentive can go a lot more way further down the way in growing your business and getting performance out of your people. And I oftentimes run into CEOs or managers that forget how much appreciation means to their associates. So your mission today is to teach and work with your teams to empower them and understand the concept of getting the tree out of the road so they don't have any in the tree in the road issues. And then also is learning how to thank you versus to incentivize. Thank you versus incentivize. Show appreciation. So I want you to go out there and have a great week. And again, thank you for all the feedback. Thank you for the emails. That's at dean@deanakers.com. I really appreciate some of you reaching out for my book. I've sent that out to you. And again, thank you to the whole podcast community out there that's downloading thousands of my podcasts and across 135 countries. I really appreciate my listeners. And you guys have a great week.
We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help@deanakers.com. Also, visit us at www.deanakers.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download. Thanks again. See you next week.